Have you ever seen a bride's smile vanish in front of hundreds? Just because a woman walked in with three little boys who looked exactly like the groom. That's what happened the day tech billionaire Nathan Carter thought he was winning. He had it all: money, power, a wedding fit for royalty. But just as he stood at the altar beside his world-famous fiancée, the doors swung open and in walked his ex, Rachel Monroe, holding hands with three identical boys who each carried his eyes, his dimples, his blood. The music stopped. The guests gasped. The bride froze. And in that one breathtaking moment, the truth Nathan had buried years ago came crashing down in the most public, unforgiving way imaginable. But how did it come to this? Why did Rachel return after 6 years of silence? And what secret did Nathan's own company hide from him? A secret that would cost him his wedding, his legacy, and nearly his soul? Stay with us, because what started as a cold act of revenge soon turns into a powerful story of truth, redemption, and a second chance that no one saw coming. The coffee on Nathan's desk had long gone cold untouched as he stared out the floor-to-ceiling window of his Manhattan skyscraper. From the top floor of Carter Technologies, he could see the city stretching endlessly below his kingdom, built from nothing. And yet on this particular morning, none of it brought him peace. Not the millions in his account, not the international headlines, not even the upcoming wedding to Vanessa Blake, the glamorous model everyone envied. His hand hovered over the mahogany desk, fingers tapping restlessly. In the other hand, he clutched a gold-trimmed envelope, the final piece of a plan he had rehearsed for years. The call was already ringing. "St. Jude Children's Hospital, this is reception," said a voice on the other end. "I'd like to speak to Dr. Rachel Monroe." Nathan said, his voice steady, though his chest thudded with a rhythm he couldn't control. There was a pause, then a click. Nathan, just in her voice, calm, sharp, unforgettable, froze time for a heartbeat. "Rachel, hi, it's me." She didn't respond right away. "Wow," she finally said, voice tinged with cautious disbelief. 6 years, not a word. "And now you call 6 years, 2 months, 17 days, he murmured before he could stop himself. Too specific, too vulnerable, too late. He stood and turned to face the skyline. In his tailored Italian suit, Nathan looked every inch the success story Forbes worshipped. But in the window's reflection, his eyes betrayed a ghost of something raw. "I'm getting married," he said. There was a pause so long he thought she might have hung up. "To Vanessa Blake." Another pause. Then the one on all the perfume billboards. He forced a chuckle. "Yeah, that one. Anyway, I wanted you to come." Rachel laughed, dry and stunned. "You want me at your wedding? I'd like you there. You were important to me once." He barely heard her skeptical silence over the pounding of his heart. The truth was, he didn't want closure. He wanted her to see what she'd walked away from, what she gave up when she left him on the cusp of success. He wanted her to witness the empire, the fame, the perfect wife-to-be, and know that none of it included her. "Fine," she said after a moment. "I'll think about it." "Great. You'll get a formal invitation tomorrow." Nathan hung up with a smug smile. This was it. The moment he'd fantasized about since the day she walked out of his life. He turned as his executive assistant entered. "Vanessa's waiting downstairs for the cake tasting," she said. He nodded, dismissing her with a wave. He didn't care about cake. All he could think about was Rachel Monroe walking into his wedding and realizing what she lost. But Nathan didn't know he had just lit the fuse of a truth bomb that would destroy everything he built. Across the city, Rachel sat frozen in her office. She could still hear Nathan's voice echoing in her head. After all these years, he called her to invite her to his wedding. She ran a hand through her shoulder-length brown hair, trying to steady her breath. On the shelf behind her were 3 framed photos. 3 boys identical in face and eyes, all smiling wide with dimples that matched Nathan's. Liam, Noah, Caleb, her sons, his sons. He had no idea. 6 years ago, when she found out she was pregnant with triplets, she had tried to contact him. She emailed. She sent letters with ultrasound pictures. And then came the response, not from Nathan, but from his cold clinical COO, Margaret Hill. "Please refrain from further contact. Mr. Carter has moved on. Any claims of paternity will damage his image and our brand." That single email had shut her out of his world forever, until now. She looked at the gold envelope on her desk. An invitation, a decision, and possibly a reckoning. That evening, while her sons helped her unpack groceries, the envelope sat on the kitchen counter like a ticking clock. Rachel watched them as they fought over a toy dinosaur, negotiated who got which cookie, and proudly showed off their latest drawings. Each boy was a mirror of the man who had no clue they existed. Later that night, after tucking them in, she sat alone in the living room and whispered to herself, "If he wants to parade his perfect life in front of me, fine, but he should know what he left behind." She picked up the invitation. "I'm coming to your wedding, Nathan," she whispered, but not alone. Little did either of them know this wasn't just a reunion, it was the beginning of an unraveling. Because secrets have a way of tearing down even the strongest empires, especially when they come in threes. I'm sorry to pause here, but the story is just getting started. Can you imagine what will happen when Nathan sees three little boys who look just like him walk into his wedding? Do you think Rachel made the right decision by going to the wedding with the kids? And what would you do if you were Nathan and discovered you had triplets on your wedding day? Let me know in the comments below. Also, where in the world are you watching from? We'd love to know. And if this story moved you, even just a little, please hit that heart and like the video to help it reach others. Rachel Monroe stood at the back of the Grand Cathedral, her hand resting lightly on the shoulder of her youngest son, Caleb. Beside him stood Liam and Noah, dressed in matching navy suits, their eyes wide with awe at the golden arches and sparkling chandeliers. But Rachel wasn't looking at the decor. Her gaze was fixed on the man at the altar, Nathan Carter. The man who had unknowingly fathered her children. The man who had invited her here expecting a moment of triumph. And now, he was about to meet the past he tried to bury. The music swelled. Guests rose from their seats. The massive doors opened, revealing Vanessa Blake, radiant in a dress that screamed money, prestige, and perfect image. Nathan smiled, rehearsed and polished. But just before the procession reached the altar, the cathedral doors creaked again. Whispers rippled through the room. Heads turned. Rachel stepped inside. She wasn't alone. Three little boys followed her, identical, solemn, curious. The air shifted like a storm front had rolled in. A single gasp sliced the silence. From the altar, Nathan froze. He didn't blink, didn't move. It was like looking into a mirror. Times 3. The music faltered. The pianist missed a note. Vanessa turned confused and saw Rachel. Her smile vanished. Nathan's heart pounded in his ears. His mind raced to make sense of what his eyes already understood. Those boys, they had his eyes, his jawline, his dimples, his blood. The world around him collapsed in slow motion. Rachel didn't flinch. She walked slowly, steadily toward the front pew, the boys staying close, eyes darting around the opulent church. Liam clutched a tiny sketchbook. Noah scanned the stained glass windows, and Caleb held a small toy piano keyring. Ordinary kids, but carrying the weight of a secret kept for 6 long years. The ceremony didn't continue. It couldn't. Vanessa turned to Nathan. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. Nathan didn't answer. He couldn't. Rachel met his eyes. There was no spite, no vengeance, just raw, unflinching truth. "I thought you should meet your sons," she said quietly, but in the cathedral's stunned silence, every word carried. Vanessa stepped back, pale. Nathan opened his mouth, but no sound came. His perfect day was crumbling in front of 200 guests and international press photographers. All because of the one woman he thought he'd outplayed. Rachel gently motioned to the boys. "Liam, Noah, Caleb. This is your father." The children looked up at Nathan with cautious curiosity. "Are you really him?" Liam asked, tilting his head like he was inspecting a science experiment. Nathan's knees buckled slightly. He stumbled down from the altar, his $1,000 shoes echoing on the marble. He knelt in front of them, eyes burning. I didn't know," he whispered. "I swear to you, I never knew." Rachel gave a nod just once. "I believe you now, but you could have if you had listened, if you had looked." Behind him, the silence turned into murmurs, then whispers, then full-blown speculation. Vanessa stormed out without a word. The ceremony was over. The empire Nathan had spent years building, now hung by a thread. That night, back at his penthouse, Nathan sat alone in the dark. The skyline that once made him feel invincible now looked cold and far away. On the table before him sat a folder, Margaret Hill's betrayal exposed in full. Dozens of letters, photos, even sonograms, all sent by Rachel. All intercepted. And now he knew the truth. She hadn't hidden his sons. His own company had hidden them from him. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Not a visitor, his assistant Laura. She looked grave. Rachel called. She said you should come tomorrow morning. To the park. She thinks the boys are ready. Nathan didn't hesitate. The next day, as the morning sun poured over Central Park, Nathan spotted them near the lake, Rachel sitting on a bench. The boys feeding ducks, laughing as if the world wasn't upside down. When he approached, they turned, and Caleb, usually the shy one, ran straight into his arms. For a moment, Nathan forgot everything, his broken wedding, the press frenzy, the board of directors waiting for answers. None of it mattered, only this did. I'm so sorry to pause right here, but the story's only heating up. Can you imagine how Nathan will balance fatherhood, a collapsing empire, and the woman he never truly stopped loving? If you were Vanessa, would you walk out too, or confront Nathan about the truth? And do you believe Nathan deserves a second chance with Rachel? Let us know in the comments and tell us, where in the world are you watching from? If this story moved you, don't forget to tap that heart and like the video so more people can experience it too. Nathan Carter sat at the edge of the playground, his suit jacket folded neatly beside him, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. On the wood chips in front of him, Caleb squealed with laughter as he pushed a plastic dump truck in circles. Liam was showing off a drawing he'd made of Dad's big building, and Noah was trying to climb the monkey bars again. 3 months had passed since the wedding that never happened. 3 months since the moment his entire life was unraveled in front of strangers. 3 months since he met his sons and found out what it really meant to be a father. And strangely, Nathan had never felt more alive. He hadn't returned to Carter Technologies. Not really. His COO was handling operations, and Nathan only showed up for board votes and press statements. The rest of the time, he was making peanut butter sandwiches, learning how to braid hair for Rachel's niece, building Lego towers, and reading dinosaur bedtime stories. The world called him a genius. But it had taken him 6 years to realize his greatest creation was never the empire he built. It was the 3 small lives he'd helped bring into the world. One Saturday morning, as he watched his sons run across the grass in matching sneakers, Nathan glanced to his side. Rachel was there, arms crossed, coffee in hand. She wore no makeup, her auburn hair tied up in a messy bun, scrubs under her jacket from an overnight shift, and she looked radiant. "Are you sure you're okay missing all your big meetings for this?" she asked, teasing gently. Nathan smiled. "There's no meeting more important than watching Caleb dominate the sandbox." Rachel chuckled, but then grew quiet. "I've been thinking," she said, "about everything." Nathan's stomach tightened. These conversations always felt like walking a tightrope, hope balanced on regret. "I don't regret coming to the wedding," she said, "and I'm glad they finally know you. But Nathan, it can't just be about the kids." He turned toward her. "I know," he said softly. "That's why I wanted to show you something." He reached into his leather satchel and pulled out a folder. She opened it slowly, then looked up in stunned silence. "Is this?" "The New Beginnings Foundation," he said. "Fully funded, launching next month. It's for single mothers like you were. Housing assistance, medical care, legal support, no red tape, no shame." Rachel blinked back emotion. "Nathan, I know I can't undo the years you raised them alone," he said, voice thick. "But I can make sure no woman like you ever gets silenced again." She closed the folder carefully and held it to her chest. "That's beautiful." For a moment, silence fell between them. Then Caleb ran up and grabbed both their hands. "Come see the castle I made," he shouted. And without a word, they followed him hand in hand. It didn't matter what they used to be. What mattered now was what they were becoming. Later that week, as the city lights glowed outside Nathan's penthouse, he hosted something he never thought he would, a family dinner. Rachel brought the boys in pajamas. They laughed over spaghetti and meatballs, danced barefoot in the living room, and ended the night cuddled together, watching old Pixar movies. As Rachel helped clean up the kitchen, she turned to Nathan. "You know what I realized tonight," she said. "What, that they're not afraid of you anymore." Nathan's eyes flicked toward the hallway where the boys were now fast asleep on the couch. "They never should have had to be," he whispered. Rachel stepped closer. "You're trying, and it matters." He looked at her, heart pounding. Does it matter? Enough. She smiled softly. Let's not label it. Let's just keep showing up. For them. For us. Whatever that means. Nathan nodded. It wasn't a promise of love, but it was something better. Hope. Weeks passed, and with each one, Nathan became more than just a man who wore suits and made millions. He became daddy. He learned how to French braid hair, how to make chocolate chip pancakes without burning them, and how to tell the difference between each boy's cry at night. One afternoon, Rachel stood outside Carter Technologies as Nathan gave a press conference launching the New Beginnings Foundation. She held the boys' hands as they watched their father step onto the stage, not as a billionaire, not as a CEO, but as a man who had finally figured out what mattered most. The crowd cheered, but the moment that stole her heart was when he looked straight at her and smiled. Not a performance, not a statement, just a man saying thank you, because sometimes second chances don't come wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes they come in peanut butter stains, playground dirt, and 3 voices calling you dad. Now let me ask you, do you think Nathan truly changed, or do you still feel he needs to prove more? And what do you believe is stronger, forgiveness or accountability? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Was this story meaningful to you? If you loved it, comment no to 3 below. If it was just okay, drop a no to 2. And if you feel we could have done better, let us know with Noman 1. Also, where in the world are you watching from today? Don't forget to like, tap the heart, and share this video with someone who believes in redemption, love, and second chances.